boys and girls. It's Little Red Riding Hood, and I'm here to read Alley Cross by James Patterson. We're reading chapters 12 and 13 today. Now, but what happened in chapters 10 and 11? Well, he decided to go out and find out if he could track Gabe. And he went to his house, knocked on the door, and finally his dad came and said, "Go away. Tell your dad to do his job and find my son." Well, did Allie give up? No, I don't think he gave up. So let's go ahead and read chapter 12. Chapter 12. After dinner that night, I went straight to the TV in the basement to play Outpost. When I logged onto the server, I saw that Loki, KGB, and the Blackhawk were already online. Those were the screen names for Cedric and our other friends, Mato and Ruby. The only one missing from our usual squad was Gabe, also known as QUB in the game. From his profile, I could see he hadn't logged in since he went missing. "Hey, I'm here," I said into my headset. Once I'd connected to a party chat. "What's going on?" "Yo," Cedric said. "Just waiting for you." You find anything out from your dad?" Ruby asked. They all knew Gabe had disappeared, of course, but somehow we hadn't talked about it much. If we did, it would be like admitting he was already gone. But now I needed their help, so I caught them up on everything I'd done so far, including the meeting with Detective Sutter, my conversation with Mr. Quells, and what I'd learned from the traffic camera videos. "Dang, you've been busy," Ruby said. "Well, yes and no," I said. I still have a whole ton to do. I was actually hoping you guys would get in on this with me. "In on what?" Cedric asked. "My investigation," I said. I knew that Cedric, Ruby, and Mado were only friends with Gabe because of me. They never hung out with him when I wasn't around, so I had come at this kind of carefully. How do you feel about looking for somebody you barely know? "Your investigation?" Mado said. "Oh man, you are such a geek." "Nah, he's just Alex Cross's kid," Cedric said. "It's in the blood." In fact, they were both right. I knew it wasn't a real investigation, obviously, but at the same time, what else was I going to call it? I was thinking we could start out by checking Gabe's base station, I said. "As long as we're in the game anyway." "Yeah, all right, let's do it," Ruby said, and we all joined a new game, an outpost. The playing area is one big island, but you can build your own home base wherever you want. It can be a watchtower, a house, a barracks, or whatever else you feel like coming up with. The more resources you pick up while you play, the more you can trade those in for building supplies, weapons, vehicles, or upgrades if you want to your avatar. The whole point is to be as much of a good guy or bad guy as you want. Build stuff if you feel like it, and try to survive for as long as possible. I knew Gabe liked building stuff in Outpost at least as much as he liked shooting stuff. So I was thinking his home base was probably going to be pretty sweet. And if I couldn't get a look at his actual room on 17th Street, maybe his virtual one in the game was the next best thing. Maybe I could find a clue about what he'd been up to before he disappeared. So once we were ready to go, I I cashed in 500 units for my bank to requisition a 4-seat, all-terrain vehicle for Blackhawk, Loki, KGB, and me. My on-screen name was Cassius Play, as in Cassius Clay, also known as Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer who ever lived. He's my dad's idol, and that's who I'm named after. So as soon as we were all on board, I put the pedal to the metal of the ATV and started driving toward the quadrant where I knew Gabe had built his place. Ruby, Blackhawk, rode shotgun, with Cedric, Loki, and Mato, KGB, in the back. The guys had swivel seats so they could watch out for the enemy fire and keep us covered along the way. Sure enough, we hadn't gone far before I heard Cedric over my headset. "Hold up! We got some trouble here," he said. Another squad was coming up on us, probably hoping to snag that ATV for themselves. "Behind you," Ruby said, just before Mato fired off a laser spray that took out most of the problem in one shot. I checked my rearview mirror and saw half a dozen avatars on the ground, receding into the distance while I kept us moving. "Nice," I said. I had to focus on driving, so defense was on them. "Watch that sniper," Cedric said. "Got it," Remy answered. On screen, Blackhawk fired 2 last pulses up into the trees. A second later, some random alien creature dropped to the ground, flopping its blue tentacles for a second. But then it didn't move. "That's right, son. Nobody messes with us," Mato said. His voice cracked at the end, and I didn't even try not to laugh. "Who's the geek now?" I asked. After that, I spent another 200 units on some shields for the ATV, so we wouldn't be bothered the rest of the way there. I still needed to talk some more about the Gabe stuff while we traveled. "So listen," I said. "I want to start canvassing soon in real life." "Canvassing?" Cedric asked. "It's what cops do on a case like this. You go out in the neighborhood where the missing person was last seen and start talking to people, looking for witnesses and handing out flyers, that kind of thing." "Dude, you live in a house full of detectives," Cedric said. "What do you need us for?" That was about as complicated as a question got. I didn't know if Cedric and the others knew about Dad's trial, but I wasn't going to dig into that right now. "Whatever," I said. "I'll do it by myself if nobody wants to help." "Nah, I'm on it," Cedric said. "Make sure you cover your mouth if you got allergies." I didn't mean to call him out like that, but I knew Cedric would be up for helping if I pushed just a little. Do you have some friends like that? Sometimes you just have to push them. "Hey, let's go swimming." "No, I don't really want to go right now." "Hey, let's go swimming." And then they go swimming. I knew he's also really big for his age. He kind of looks like LeBron, but without the beard. And it never hurts to have a little muscle on your side. "Our parents are no-fly zone for anything like that," Ruby said. "We can't be going around talking to strangers on the street." "Oh, so you're going to go up against Daddy on this?" Ruby asked. "Yeah, I'm so sure." Ruby and Mato were brother and sisters. They were also preacher's kids. Their dad, Reverend Sandoval, was from another big city, Buenos Aires in Argentina. And he was even stricter than my dad. They weren't allowed to go anywhere without an adult. "There's still other stuff you can do," I said. "Actually, Ruby, I was thinking you could get all the over social media with this." Ruby had more than 700 followers on Instagram. I had like 12, including my family members. Even Gabe had way more than me, but they were all gamers and outpost heads. I can do that, she said. Anyway, hold that thought, Mayday said, because I think we're here. Check it out, straight ahead. On the TV screen in front of me, I could see where some kind of building was just coming into sight through the woods, and since there was nothing else around, it seemed like we'd come to the right spot. Gabe really was a loner in the real world as much as the virtual one. No wonder he built his place all the way out here. As for whether our little side mission was going to be worth the effort, I guess we were about to find out. And that's the end of chapter 12. So what do you think now? Well, yeah. I don't know where Gabe is. I wonder if they're going to find him. And you think this helping each other's going to work? What do you think? Well, we got another chapter to read. Wait a minute.